Hey, GuttedJester here in part 2 for this wheel resurrection. So there's the shadow rim. I think it may be the Orbis, not too sure about that. He really got it like 2 years or so ago. This is the McNeil dub. A couple grams lighter. You know, I've had really great success with these. Turkey has as well, and I'm gonna try doing it up to this rim at first. And you know, with this, there's a lot of trial and error. Really, you know, you could try and do the math and look into the ERD and everything, try and take some calipers to this little fucker right here, but that just gets really complicated. A lot of you guys out there don't have calipers or don't want to hassle with the math and shit. And you know what, if you have the time, you can do it this way, trial and error. All right, so just to show you, I've got a bucket of spokes. Got a couple groups in paper. I just put them in paper with a rubber band, label them whatever length they are. You know, that works pretty good, or just group them somehow. So that looks like a mess, but a lot of them, this is group. Most of them are actually grouped up. Here we have 188mm stainless steel. That was for my front wheel, and then 186 for my rear wheel. This rear one, this is empty, but there's a lot of fronts in here. I think there's 20 or so brand new front ones. And then this is a bundle of these two measurements here. Okay, I did just relace my wheels, so I don't really have the most to fuck with here, but you know, like I said, just trial and error. And I'll show you where you can actually figure if it's gonna work or not in part 3. Right now I'm just talking, but it is important, and I did want to show you guys. You see this right here, okay? This is what I was talking about before. See on that right side, there's that huge gash, right? It's actually pretty mauled, okay? If you want your parts to last, if you don't want to be buying new hubs every season, pay attention if you're gonna relace them, okay? You got that mark on that left side there, so that tells me that this hub, there was an outbound going right in that deeper groove. Someone rode that way longer than they did when it was coming out left here. Yeah, maybe could have gotten into a crash or a bail, something like that, but I don't know. At the end of the day, you want to, especially if there's a groove like that, all right? If you put it outbound, then you send it off left into this little smaller groove here, you could potentially blow out this hole in the hub flange, okay? And this flange, I don't know if you probably see that. See how it's bent in a little bit? That's what's gonna happen if you're not too clean with grinds, but also just from the metal fatigue, okay? Stress it so much in one way and then you stress it in the other way, it's going to start to bend a little bit, it's going to start to warp a little bit, and that's how you see people out there blow out the whole hub flange, or they're missing holes. You know, that one hole is blown out. You know, they just got unlucky and they've hit it a couple times. This hub has been through some shit, been through a lot. The bearings are a little fucky in here. You know, like I said, so just look for that deeper groove. Alright, so I'm going to put it outbound in here and then send it off right to go into that deeper groove, because I don't want to fuck with this kid's hub flange is blowing up. Alright, another thing, I just throw nipples into a peg, but I have inside a bag of fresh nipples. Gonna use brass for this. You could use alloy. On my wheels, I always use the alloys, just because if you're gonna lace it yourself, I figure it might as well. You do save some rotational weight, or rotational mass, more commonly referred to, but you know, it helps out your speed a lot. But also just the overall weight of your bike, you know, especially if you're gonna lace it yourself. I say go for it. Get the alloy, fuck the brass. But they're good, you could use brass. On this one I'm using brass. I've had great success with brass. It's basically just the weight. Brass is a little bit stronger, apparently. I've read a couple different opinions on that. You know, aluminum is pretty soft, but so is brass. Brass is also pretty soft. And to do this, you know, there's a lot of different views on this as well. What do you put on the spokes? Okay, what do you put on those threads there? I've heard a lot of things. Some companies have told me they do use a Loctite, they use a spoke prep. There's plenty of distribution companies out there. I've checked out a lot, you know, Dan's, Empire, Albies, a lot of distribution companies as well. If you guys have ever worked at a shop, you know, things like Tip Plus, you know, anywhere that really laces wheels, J&B, you know, Action, Quality, even Giant. You know, a lot of big manufacturers out there do use something, but I've found that it actually works better, and I've actually found more people tell me that it works better if you just go in dry. Alright, so hear that? Go in dry. Okay, definitely what to do there. I have used grease, didn't really work so well. Had to end up tightening those spokes down a lot. And basically spoke prep is like a form of Loctite. I don't know, way too many mixed feelings on that, so I just go in dry. Plus there's a little bit, and it's usually recommended, don't use any kind of grease if you really got to use something like a light oil. But a lot of times when I pick up fresh spokes, especially from you know, Dan's or any distribution like that, if they're sitting in a shop for a while, maybe it's different. But if you pick up a bag of fresh ones like that, a lot of times they have a light oil on them because they were just forged, you know. So that I've found that's perfectly adequate. I think that works the best. Just go in dry. And basically what I'm going to do now is throw. First, I'm gonna try and find enough spokes to do this wheel that are the same size and that are in pretty good condition. But you do have some leeway here, and I really don't recommend fucking with single wall rims all too much. It's just not worth it. At least with double walls, you have some leeway there. You could use a spoke that's a little bit longer than what it should be, and you can get away with it. Okay. In terms of what to look for when picking up a rim, get something. You know, with the good alloy. I mean, you know, the weight is important on your rims, but also the strength of it. Get something double wall. A lot of guys get away with anything really double wall, but one of the most important things, you want this right here. Welded seam, okay? You don't just want that bullshit seam that's pushed together and then you ride it for a couple months and thing is forming a V and it's just pulling apart because you'll develop a hop and you'll never be able to get rid of it. So he had the shadow rim is a welded seam as well, but like I said, I just prefer this you know, a little bit lighter. Had great success with it, and it's also a cross lace pattern. So explain this in the one video I did on how to lace wheels. Hopefully this one ends up a lot cleaner. The part 3 I'll really go over all that stuff, but basically cross lace. And the rim will tell you if it's cross laced or not, but the right side of this flange is gonna, whatever spoke is in that right side is gonna come up to this left side here. Okay, so it's gonna cross. So you're gonna form a triangle. That's apparently the strongest geometric shape. Alright, and I'll put a whole bunch of links and shit like that if you guys do want to fuck with the math. It's pretty cool to check it out, but unless you have calipers, really not worth you know, the money and the time. And you see all these spokes bent up like that, right? So they were putting a lot of unequal tension on that rim. Okay, and if you try and just replace the spokes that look the worst, you're still gonna have spokes like this, really bent up, not putting equal tension. This is not good. So you can replace those spokes that look really bad. Yeah, you can replace a couple. You're still gonna have some that are pretty fucked, and those new ones are gonna put more tension than these. These are gonna end up getting popped very, very quick. So if your wheel has gone too far, like this one had, you're better off just relacing it. Try the best you can, especially do not use spokes that are too short. That is definitely no good. So I'm gonna try and get started on this and talk to you guys in part 3.